Am I audible? Am I audible, guys? If anyone may confirm. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. It's good. So let's wait for few more minutes and we shall start 11 at 11:05. Like till the time, if you have any questions or any queries, feel free to just post in chat, or you can also unmute yourself and say it now. Good morning, my good morning. So those who have joined recently, we are waiting for a few others to join, then we shall start. Okay, so we shall start anytime now. So I'm audible, guys. You can unmute yourself and
Yes,
okay.
yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any doubts, anything that you want to discuss, like any queries that you have regarding web development and any such sort of thing. Like these were the topics that I had decided. Let we'll discuss about what is web development, different aspects of web development for non-CS students, and how to get started with web development and a roadmap for web development as a career option. So these are 5 topics that I'm hoping to cover today in this session. If you have minimal, if you have any any queries, any questions, you can just throw it right now.
Sir,
Sir,
which
which
framework
framework
are you
are you
going to
going to
use?
use? So in general, this will be this will be sort of series. So we'll try to look at most popular ones. Like we'll also look at Django. We'll also look at Laravel if people are using PHP. That is that is something that I'm hoping. We'll also look for Express. We'll also look for Class. We'll also look for FastAPI. So it won't be something like it will be mostly that we'll try to explain you with how to get started, how to move further ahead with that specific framework. But it won't be like that will be going through about with a specific framework only. So yeah, we'll look we'll talk about different frameworks that are there, and their pros and cons, and how you can choose the one for your specific requirement. So we'll discuss about it, but not specific one, rather with more number of frameworks with in a general aspect. Yeah. Anything else?
So
So
for
for
any
any
beginners,
beginners,
what
what
would be
would be
the
the
Mhm.
what would be the combinations
combinations
of
of
front end
front end
and
and
back
back
end?
end?
Okay. Okay. So we will talk about that in the different aspects of web development for sure. And anything else?
Sir, I
Sir, I
also
also
wanted
want
to know that how can we design professional templates with UI designing?
Okay. Okay. I see. Okay. Okay. That is also well. Okay. So I'm adding all those things in thread. First, Yogesh talked about a good combination of frameworks for front end and back end. And I did not see your name. May you repeat it again?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I wanted to know about UI designing, how to design a professional website
Okay, okay, okay.
template.
And from where to get good templates. Okay. We'll talk about how you can get free ones as well as the premium ones. Okay. Anything apart from it that anyone has some queries regarding it? If feel free, guys. Like, also, is English okay with everyone? Like, or should we switch to English or some other sort of like purely Hindi or something like that? Okay, okay. I'm also putting this at okay. Eh, Okay, while speaking, sound is echoing. Is it with everyone? Is anyone else also feeling the echo in my sound? Okay, okay. Let me see what we can do. Okay. Oh, okay. So I think probably it might be because of internet. Okay, but it echoes when someone else speaks. Okay, so I'm not sure if. Okay, let me see. I'm audible now. Yes, it echoes when someone else speaks. Okay, okay. We'll see if we can do something with it. Maybe you're using. No, no, I'm using only one device. Uh, okay, I'm not sure if there's anything if you're not clear about, just just ask me to repeat it. We'll do it if the sound is not clear. Okay, so if someone is posting in chat rather than like just speak up, because I'm looking at screen, so I might miss the chat at this moment, at this instant. So just unmute yourself and or probably raise your hand and let me know. So yeah, what is web development is something that we are hoping to discuss now. Okay, so yeah, in general, I have a good blog that I have with you. So I will share it with you as well. So web development is basically we're developing something from for the web, be it a be it the application that you're using in the browser, or build something that is basically empowering your devices, your applications in mobile, or some embedded devices, some nuclear power plants, and all sort of such similar things is also comes under web development. Basically, we are doing something. We are developing something for the web. It may be anything. It may be a web server. It may be a web application, or it may be merely a tunnel for that. It can also be sort of VPN that empowers that thing. These all things are come under actually web development. So if we break it down, web development basically developing something for web, and there it is a very very broad aspect. It is a very broad domain. So just discussing about it, it will take a lot of time. So I will talk only about a few things that are that are very common. The first one is web application. You visit some website, and you can just book your tickets, watch your favorite shows, and just do some banking and also all sorts of things. So these are the primary aspects of web development that we'll be talking about in this live sessions, how to all those aspects that are basically used in those segments, be it the front end development, be it back end development, be it scaling, and all other things as well. So I don't want to go into sort of a definition only in the web development, because I think probably you can get it online and about it as well. So if you have any question regarding the specifically to web development, regarding that is mentioned here in the screen. So apart from it, if you have any questions, just shoot it out. I will like to discuss that one, because I think that is more important than to just discuss the definition that you can find it anyway. So is anyone, are we good to go? Please also tell about some VS Code. Okay, we'll talk about it in the end as well. I will share what I use, so that okay. So I don't think anyone has the question or doubt regarding web development. They all, I assume you all know about web development, the basic definition, what is it, and what do we do. So different aspects of web development. So as I told you, it is a very broad domain, but we'll be talking only about the front end development, the back end development, and the system administration part of it, how to deploy, how to scale, how to how to design a pipeline for all those things. So these are the only things that we would want, that I would want to discuss in this in the sessions. If you have any other questions, you can definitely shoot it out anytime, and we'll be happy to discuss it further. So from aspects level, we will only discuss about the front end development, the back end development, and the scaling part, along with the CI/CD pipeline thing, and what are these, what is Docker, what is Kubernetes, what is Git, and how basically these things help us in easing our work, how these things are basically helping us in doing a lot of cumbersome tasks manually, and why do we use it basically. So these are something that we would want to discuss. So till now, if you have anything, we can anytime you can unmute yourself and just pause me. I would be happy to reply you guys. Okay, so let's get I would want to share screen. Let me just give me some time. Okay. So yes, am I audible? Like, is my screen visible to everyone? If anyone may confirm. Uh, my screen is visible as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 So, like, they are like, as we discussed, we'll be talking firstly mainly about the, like, the two branches that you mostly see as a career option, or like, otherwise. Uh, web. So we have this thing. The one thing is the back end, and the other is the front end. Okay, so these are two of the, like, two of the main important and basic aspects of web development. When we talk about web development, we usually talk about this thing, like, either you develop for the front end, or either or you develop for the back end thing. So we have certain things. What is front end, what is development? This is one question that you might get. So front end is basically, like, everything that you see in the browser. For example, like, when you visit google.com, so the screen, the logo, the search button, the, like, the text input file, all those things that you see is those basically comes under the front end part. And, like, everything. Okay. Okay. So everything that you everything that you see in a browser is basically front end thing. And, like, you can basically visit any website that will come into the front end part. So as the name suggests, front end basically means how it appeals to you, how it looks, how beautiful it is, from UI, from, like, how you interact, from how it looks to from how you interact. All these things basically come into the front end thing. And, for front end we basically use, like, HTML and CSS. HTML is, probably you might know the full format, or, like, what is HTML and what is CSS. HTML is HTTP, hypertext transfer markup language. It is a sort of language how we tell browser to display certain things, like, and CSS is basically cascading style sets. It is usually to beautify our HTML. So in everything, in browser, whatever you are saying is basically basically a combination of HTML and CSS along with the JavaScript. So what JavaScript does is basically, like, it helps us to, like, make it more interactive. Like, when we visit, for example, when we open Gmail, like, we click on compose button, and, like, a new pop-up opens up, and, like, it says, that into the, like, recipient's email, the subject, and the details of the email, and it allows you to send it. So all those interactivity that you see in the browser is basically via the JavaScript. But all the resulting thing, the JavaScript basically, like, makes our interaction with HTML CSS easily. So this is what JavaScript does. So mainly these three things are only the things that we use in the front end. No matter what framework you use, like, if you use React, if you use Angular, if you use Vue, or if you use a Vanilla JS, at the end whatever you see is basically a combination and the result of HTML and CSS. And JavaScript just makes it easier, and nothing else. So in front end, whatever we see is HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Apart from it, like, nowadays, these are something that we had been using in the past since so long. But nowadays, like, you might also hear about React. You might also have heard about Angular. You might also have heard about Vue.js. You might also heard about jQuery. So like what are these, and like basically are they something like are because these are some of the sort of like trending topics as of now. So yeah, so it was all about it, like the front end thing. So now like as I told you, everything that you see in a browser is basically a combination of HTML and CSS, and JavaScript just makes it easier to like interact us with it. And the latest trendy framework that you have heard about, like React, Angular, or JS, or Vue.js or jQuery, all these things are also like at then they're also producing some HTML and CSS. It helps us from the developer's perspective. To the end user, it does not matter like which framework they're using it. Just when we try to like develop the complex applications, for example, Facebook guys like develop React so that they can like handle their social media very easily. They can handle all those things very easily and like that. So Google guys developed Angular and all sorts of things. So this basically like came into picture because they wanted to ease something, because they wanted to like make the life of developers very easy. So that is the only reason like this frameworks actually came into picture. And later on like in the coming session we will also look at it like why those are better than using your like normal HTML and CSS. For example, those who might have like work with some like some backend or some PHP or Django, probably, or and they have not worked with like Angular JS or any other some advanced front-end framework. They might have one question like why do we want to use this frameworks when we can just render it from the server. So we'll also try to like look for answers of these questions as well. So that was about the front-end thing. Like it is something that you can see, that you can feel, that you can interact with. The next thing that comes in is the okay the next thing that comes is the backend. Okay, sorry for this. Okay, so backend. So basically backend is something like that you usually like don't see, or you don't interact it with actively, rather than like the front end actually interacts with it and like gives you the desired results. For example, for example, like that all the database things. For example, we might have heard about the database, right? Like whatever we do is stored in some table in server, and like we basically we have some sort of method with which we pull the data from the server, and like we display it in the to the front end user. For example, like let's say like you try to log in into Gmail. So you see the front end of the Gmail, like the application. For example, you see the screen to like which asks you to log for your Gmail account. So the screen that you see is basically the front end. Whenever you enter your username and password, and when we click on submit thing, like it the front end does something. And if our password is wrong, if our password is wrong, it tells us that like our password is wrong, like it is an unauthenticated it is not a valid combination of given username and password. And it asks us to enter it again. And when we enter our right password, like it basically let us go into the like in our Gmail dashboard, or in our Gmail inbox. So how this is happening, let's like try to break down this process. The login screen that you see is basically the front end thing. Whenever we enter our username and password in the just in the input boxes, and when we click on submit, the front end basically interacts with the back end. And what backend does is like it takes the like those two inputs, like that this is the username that is given to us, that is the password that is given to us, and it basically tries to validate those combination with the database that we have in the backend. So that is one of the major thing, like that we are doing in a basic web application. So backend is something that facilitates the front end thing. Like we have we have sort of APIs and all those things, like like basically a way to interact with the backend. Like backend won't directly give you like an HTML input that hey man, that you are a valid user, you can just go into into the inboxes, rather than there is some mutual agreement, mutual understanding between the front end and the and the backend thing, that yeah, this is the request that will made, and this is the specific format of response that the backend will give to the front end, and then based on those responses the whole application will work. So backend is something that that interacts with the database, and it is also something that basically authenticates authentication or authorizations are those two things that are performed by the backend. For example, if someone is trying to do something that is not allowed, if someone is trying to access, for example, you might have probably use some application, like let's say Google Classroom, right? So a student cannot go into the teacher section and basically post some assignment for the students, like because there is some specific role assigned for those two segments of users, and we have we have advanced check in the backend that basically prevents the student to access the teacher details, so all this authentication and authorization are also performed by the backend. We don't do it in the front end, because front end is basically that you can see it in the browser, so it is very possible to just tweak it with it is very possible, because at then if you have an HTML, you can inspect it in the browser and you can tweak it as you like, and you might have probably done it as well in for some time, for some reason, and yeah, so it is like that. So I have also mentioned two things, authentication and authorization. So first of all, what is the difference between two? Authentication is authentication is something like, for example, you are trying to log into something and you don't have the valid credentials, your username and password is not right, then this process is actually called as authentication, when your credentials are right but you don't have the privileges to perform that specific action. For example, you're a student in a Google Classroom and you're trying to post a assignment for the student, so you cannot do that, right? So though your username and password is wrong, we have logged in you in the application, but you don't have the specific privileges that you might need to perform that specific operation. So in that case, we call it as the authorization. It is a very basic difference, and usually people ask it whenever you appear for some interview like that. So there are two things that you must remember: authentication and authorization. Authentication means you have a bad credentials. Authorizations means you have your credentials are right but you don't have the specific privileges to perform those things. So yeah, backend is basically basically something that interacts with the database, and something that performs that take care of these two things. So in front end we have specific thing, only HTML, CSS and JavaScript are something with which you can build the front end. It is you cannot use Python to build the front end, it is very defined. Only HTML, CSS will be there if you need to make a web page, and JavaScript just adds the functionality. But it is not the case with backend. We have a lot of frameworks in the backend, a lot of languages that you can use to develop the backend. For example, you can also use C or C++ to develop the backend, though I will not recommend it. It is very complex, but you can do it as well. We have Python, we have JavaScript again, we have PHP, we have Go, and we have .NET, it is etc. Like we have a lot of languages that can be used to develop the develop the backend thing. So you might have noticed that JavaScript is it is appearing here as well. It was also there in the front end thing. So don't get confused. JavaScript is one language with which basically we can make the front end as well as the back end. So yeah, there's something known as node.js, with which basically we can use JavaScript to with which we can use JavaScript to make the backend as well. Okay, apart from it, you can use Python, you can use C++, you can use PHP. Although I have this C++ thing is like something probably that like there is a very least possibility that someone will use CC++ for server thing, but it is there, also we forget one of the most important language, that is Java. So CC++, Python, JavaScript, PHP, Java, Go, .NET, and like there is a lot of languages, these are some of the few popular ones that are coming into my mind as of now. So yeah, this is some there is that this is backend, this is backend, and that was front end. So any questions till now, are we clear with what is front end and what is backend? Any questions? Anything that you would want to ask? Anything if you want to add, or anything that you might say? Okay, no sir, someone said. Okay, okay guys. Okay, so we'll move ahead with it. So so basically in this session, I am basically what my hope is, after this session, probably before we meet in the next session in the next week, probably some of those who actually want to do web development probably would get it started with HTML, so that they can ask doubts if they have any and all other things. So my hope is after this session we can get started with HTML and CSS at least. This is what I am hoping for. So yeah, this was about the front end and the back end. Okay, so that was a very sort of a small introduction about web development, about front end and the back end thing. Okay, so the third thing that comes that people ask me a lot about is web development for non-CS students, so is web development something that only CS graduates can do, who have computer science as their major in in their undergrad course or like that. So definitely it is not like that. To be honest, web development is something that you can do without being a CS student only. What you need is basically uh, okay, so I will try to list it. Requirements for being a web developer. The first thing is a basic coding knowledge. You can learn it online. You can learn it online. We don't have any limitation in there are a lot of online resources, there are a lot of online blogs, there are a lot of online forums, courses, and guides how to get started with basic coding. You don't need to be you don't need to specifically study coding if you want to get started with web development, but you should understand basic coding, uh basic DSA. DSA stands for uh, data structures, and A stands for algorithms. So I'm not saying that you must be sort of very pro in data science structures and algorithm, but you should be able to you should be able to work with the basic data structure set. I'm not talking about that go and then graph trees and all those things, but basic tree basically basic arrays, sets, dictionaries, hash maps, and normal data types that are very obvious. You should be at least able to work with those things. You should be fluent with this. Algorithms are something that I would say you should know about it. I'm not saying that you should know the extra go and learn the extra algorithm to traverse on a given map. Not I won't ask you for that, but you should know a basic basic algorithms, like how do we sort, we have something to get started with, what is binary search and all those things. So this all comes under under this basic coding or basic programming skill. So this is something that I would suggest you, and you can get started with any of the if you follow for example, there is a very good platform, a free code camp, so you can just you can just go and check the website and get started with it. It is very simple, and it won't take a lot of time as well. So that is basic requirement. That is one of the basic requirement for being a web developer. Be it if you're a C student, it does not matter if you're a non-C student. It applies to both of the segments of the people, who are trying to understand web development. The second thing that I would suggest that I would definitely say is the concept of object-oriented programming. So it is something that probably you will use a lot when you will be either working in the front end, or if you're working in the back end, you will use it definitely, and it is like you will make classes, you will make structures and all those things. So as I said, you should to be able to understand this, your basic programming skills should be should be there. On top of it, you should also be familiar with this concept of what is object oriented programming, what is it, how do we implement it, what other things that we should care that we should take care when we are when we are writing code and all this. And so these two are something that are very very basic, these are literally very basic thing that we should understand, that we should know. Apart from it, apart from it, one the last thing that I say is a will. If you have a will to learn anything, you can definitely learn it. So I think, for as per me, these three things are some of the basic things that anyone should understand, whenever they are working with if they want to do a web developer. On top of it, we have certain set of other things that I can say. So basic coding, you can you can visit a lot of websites like free code camp. You can follow a lot of blogs on Medium. We have dev.to, which is another such good platform for for coders. And just get your basics clear. Just get started with any of the language. I would suggest C++, though you can though you can get started with Python as well. But my session will be to basically get started with C++. The reason is actually Python makes it very very easy to write code. And some of the concepts that are some of the basic concepts of programming or OOP, you will only understand if you do the long way with C++, not with Python. Because otherwise you will be habituated to writing a writing something with which probably you will not be able to map your concept that you might have learned. Also at the same time, Python is very handy. You just have to write a few lines of code and it is boom, it does everything. For example, if you want to manipulate with string, you can do it very very easily with Python. You don't need to actually implement any algorithm and all sort of thing. But because just we want to work on our basic skills, if you do it with C++, your basics will be clear. I'm not saying that you have to stick with C++ after learning that. Get started with C++ so that you know the basic concepts of this languages very very clearly. And whenever if you have to use Python, it will be easier for you to basically understand what is actually happening behind the scenario that is in front of you. So yeah, C++ is a good place to start. But additionally, if you want, you can also use Python. There is no harm in it. Okay, just that you'll have to spend you'll have to go with with these algorithms very clearly, because Python makes it literally very easy to code. So sometimes that is a sort of demerit of Python as well. But yeah, it is okay. There's no such problem with it. So that was about front end and back end, how to get started. Have your basic concepts about programming clear. Have read about data structures and algorithm. And get have a basic understanding of OOP. That is one of the very very basic concept of the modern day programming. And yeah, have a good will, you can do it if you want to actually. So it does not matter if your branch is not CS, or if it is something if it is something different, or if you're from a core branch, it actually really does not matter nowadays. So yeah, that is about it. Apart from it, the fourth point will be to get started with HTML and CSS. uh, if you even if you want to be a backend developer, you should first know the HTML CSS, because those are very very fundamentals of web development. Literally, these are sort of we can call it as a peer of pillars of web development. So I'm not asking you to become a pro in it, but unless you do HTML and CSS, probably you might not be able to even if you do backend development, if you have no idea about HTML and CSS, probably it will be hard for you to relate with those things. That's the only thing, that's the only difference that I would say. Apart from it, there's nothing harm if you don't know much HTML and CSS, if you want to be a backend developer. But HTML and CSS are some of the, it is like a very basic point to get started with web development. So how to get started with web development? Just go into W3 Schools. It is a very good website. It is literally a very good website. Just go into W3 Schools, and they have a tutorial for HTML and CSS, and it literally covers all the topics that is there. So just get check the website w3schools.com, and there is a specific segment that says learn HTML, and from top to bottom we go through all the topics, go through all the topics that is there in the website. Same for the CSS and same for the JavaScript. So just if you want to get started, these are the W3 Schools is my first session to check. Apart from it, I would also say that MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, is also another platform where where you can find a lot of insightful blogs and articles that may help you to get started with web development as well. So these two are some of my favorites, favorite channels, where which if I have to learn, if I have to check something, I just go through it. So yeah, go through this two websites, W3 Schools and MDN, and yeah, get started with HTML CSS. Like it is not a rocket science. You for HTML and CSS, you literally don't have to know coding as well. It is more sort of understanding specific syntaxes to write a specific thing. That's all. That's the only thing that is there in HTML. Once you go through it, I'm sure probably it won't take much than 1 to 2 weeks to understand this HTML thing, and you will be good to go with CSS and JavaScript afterwards. So yeah, just check this websites, and I'm hopeful that it will be very helpful for you guys as well. So these are some of the sessions that will apply to both segments of the student. If you are from CS background, if you are not from CS background, this is something that you will have to do for sure if you want to be a backend developer, if you want to be a web developer, if you want to pursue web development as a career option in some startup and like that. So these are something that you must do at least. That's what I can say. So uh, in the end, we'll also set target for ourselves, because we are because we are a community, we are sort of a a pool of people who want to do web development together. So who want to do web development basically. So at the end, we will also we will set a target for ourselves, uh, to build something on HTML, so that next time when we have a call, we can discuss about the challenges and the doubts and the queries first, and then we'll move on the next topic. So yeah, this was my basic suggestions for for everyone who wants to become a web developer. If you have any questions, any video suggestions, okay. So actually I don't prefer videos. I what I say is first of all, have a habit of going through the documentation. Documentation is very important part of learning things. So for example, if you want to have some career in some CS or IT thing, then if you are good in reading and understanding from the documentation, you actually literally don't need any tutor or any video guides and to do any specific thing. Just go through the documentation and it is good to go. So make a habit of reading. That's what I would say. Though you can find a lot of videos on YouTube, I usually don't prefer videos until it is not clear from the documentation. So I will also suggest you to do the same, because if you can do it for this, then whenever if you want to learn some any of the latest frameworks, be it React, Angular, or Vue, or Django, or Laravel, or Express, like if you have a habit of understanding it from the documentation, then it will also be helpful for you in those segments as well. Like it is usually helpful. So no video sessions as of now from my side, but if you find any such thing, like you are free to share with us, like just post in the thread on Substacks, and on Substack, and I think it will be good to go. So no sessions from me on videos as of now. Just I would say is like just go through this two websites. It is more than enough. So yeah, that is it. Apart from it, if you have any questions to on like on web development for like CS students and like that, so if you have any question, like you can just share it, you can discuss on it, like anything, like just feel free to share. Like don't think that like it will be like very silly question, very silly sort of question, but yeah. So Roshan says would be nice to use Bootstrap as a front end, but but Roshan, the thing is like most of us actually don't know what Bootstrap is as of now. Okay, so that's why like first understand the CSS, and then probably we'll use some of the front end like from the like styling frameworks, like styling libraries or frameworks like Bootstrap or Materialize or any such sort of thing. So it would definitely be nice, but we have not reached uh, we are not reached there yet. So that's why HTML CSS first, and then we will go with like then we will see how we can do it, how we can like reduce our time in doing in implementing those things. So apart from it, like any questions, anything that you would want to ask, anything that you would want to add to what I have shared as of now. Yogesh says, sir, what for the basic projects we should build using? Okay, okay, yeah. So we'll talk about it next one. Apart from it, that is the next thing that I'm hoping to discuss. Apart from it, if you have any questions, should we move forward? Just post yes in the chat, or like just say yes so that I will understand it. Okay. Okay, okay. So now, like like now basically, like how to get started actually with web development. So have actually started with those topics, as I told you, like W3 schools and MDN are like one of the best, like few of the best sources that I find very helpful and very useful. And the like the literature written over there is very easy language, like anyone can just understand it. It is like it is plain language, it is plain English written in a very simple format, so you can just read it and you will understand. Like those are some of the like simplest yet powerful explanation about HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. So that is something that we can do, that we have to do. Apart from it, what I usually suggest is like to basically implement something that you would want. So whenever like if you're learning HTML and CSS, what I would want is to like build something that you want to, that you probably that you would want to build when like when you become a like when you become a web developer, and you know how to like do things, how to do everything with the with web development. So build something. Usually starting point that I suggest is like get started with your resume in HTML. Okay, that is one thing that I usually suggest to anyone who asks me about how to get started with like with web development. The first thing will be to like build your resume in HTML, and like it is a good point to start. First learn HTML, build your resume in HTML. When then after it, when you learn CSS, like then apply like styling with CSS. Once you learn CSS, and like basically try to beautify your resume, as you might see in like on a Word document or a PDF document. Just try to beautify it as more as possible. So like first, yes, I will definitely upload these videos on YouTube so that you can check it later on. So yeah, so first get started with HTML, like learn HTML from W3 schools. Make your resume in plain HTML, just the HTML. Okay, I'm not talking about installing thing. It does not matter if it looks ugly or beautiful. It does not. It just does not matter as now, because later on, like, we'll try to we'll try to beautify it, and we'll try to make it more interactive. So, but for the time being, just get started with HTML. When we learn CSS, we will apply styling to it, and when we will learn JavaScript, we'll try to add some sort of interactive to with it as well. So this resume project is something that I would suggest, because it is the simplest one, and probably if you have a web resume, you can just make a GitHub page for it, and share it share it as your website. So it is a very cool. So that's what it will be my session. But apart from it, if you have any other sessions, if you want to build something, for example, if you want to build a clone of Facebook, Twitter, you're free to do it. Okay, but again, the step was firstly get started with HTML, try to build it in a in plain HTML, no styling, and probably it will be ugly, but it is okay, it is not something, because whenever we are we are climbing on stairs, from the on the first step only, we reach the final step, right? We climb the stairs one by one, we take steps, and those steps actually help us to get in the top. So that's what we have to do here as well. If you want to do anything in general, you have to do it sort of stepwise. So the first step that I would say is uh, study HTML first of all from W3 schools or Mozilla Developers Network. And when just go through all the topics, and at the same time try to implement those topics in your project that you want to build. For example, resume is one thing that I would suggest. Apart from it is a social media design, not exactly Facebook or Twitter, but something that probably you might want to see as your social media, or any sort of forum. Okay, just pick something, that you would want, that that I should own this sort of platform. So just pick that project, and make a HTML version of it. Then probably in the next week, next to next week, we'll look at CSS, and we'll try to apply styling to the project that you chose. And then when we're done with CSS, we know enough HTML CSS, then we'll learn about JS, and we'll try to interact with we'll try to evolve that project with JavaScript. So these are some of the steps that I'm hoping to take in the next session. But for as of now, just get started with W3 schools. I'll follow the tutorials, go through the documentation, and trying to implement it any of your project. It can be anything, it is not restricted to resume, but anything that you like in general. So yeah, that is these are some of the basic projects that I can say. uh Anything else, anything that is not clear as of now, anything that you would want to ask or share or add to what I told? Okay, just say yes, no, or do anything so that I will know that it is okay to move forward. No questions for now? Or okay, I understand it is we don't have any. You have added question marks, so you have any questions, or we should move forward? Okay, no sir, got it now. Okay, so moving ahead, roadmap for web roaming, moving ahead with how to do moving ahead with the next topic, that was roadmap for web development as a career option. Okay, so I will be very honest about it. For example, there are two things that you should understand. First of all, that is if you apply for MNCs or well established companies, then probably you don't get to choose the thing that you would want to work, right? For example, if you want to do a job at Samsung, or be it Microsoft, or be it Apple, usually they hire it generally, and then they basically try to try to do some training for those specific segment of employees, and then they give them tasks, like for that specific job role that they are trying to fit those employees with. So if you go on a MNCs, you might not get to choose what you would want to work. You will just have to do what they're asking you to do. They might ask you to work on, like embedded systems. They might ask you to work on operating systems, or 2G, 3G, 4G, any sort of thing might happen. So usually if you're hoping for that, then probably you might not get to say no, what do you want to work. But usually in startups, we do startups, usually there's no such hiring, we don't have specific, we don't have a general hiring, where we just hire a candidate based on their DSA, and just just teach them the web development, the front end and back end, and then give them. Rather it happens the other way, like you should know any such of those skills. You must have any such of those skills, as you must be good with front end or back end, or you can be full stack as well. You can be good with mobile application development, we can be good with data science and all of that. And they will hire you specifically for that specific skill set that you put in the company, that you give to the company. So I will be talking more about that only, because that is only where where you're deciding that you want to do web development as a career option, and you actually doing it. So yeah, so the first thing will be get started with the basic web. What do I mean by basic web? Basic web is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you, but get skill with these three things first of all, before before deciding if you want to do yes, Utkarsh. Web development plays a role in IoT as well. We have servers for those things, and we'll discuss about it as well next week. So yeah, basic web, what I mean is learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You should know that those things, first of all, be if you want to be front end developer or back end developer, it does not matter, but you should know. If you're a web developer, you just you should know it. And when you're doing web development, I would also ask you to try the backend thing as well. Then only you can probably make a better decision whether to move ahead with the front end only, or with the back end only, or you can do it both. So do this do HTML, CSS front end. That is part that is mostly a front end thing. With it, get started with back end as well. And for that I would suggest you to choose something that you are familiar with. For example, if you are familiar with Java, then go with some Java frameworks, because since you know Java, there is a good possibility that you might understand what they are doing in the backend with Java, like right now. So it totally depends on your skill set. If you're good with Python, you can get started with Flask, or Django, or Fast API, or any such framework in Python. If you're good with PHP, you can go with Laravel. You can also go with plain PHP with no framework. And we have another framework Symfony, and all sort of things are there. If you're good with JavaScript, if you want to do everything with JavaScript, because JavaScript is a sort of more trendy thing nowadays. So we have Express that is built on Node.js. So you can have a look over it as well. So yeah, just at least try those things first. For example, do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first of all. No matter if you want to do front end or back end, do it. And at least try to have some hands on with back end, just try to do it. If you don't like it, then you can basically stick to front end, then you can probably learn it from advanced frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue, or any other similar framework. So but you should at least have a taste of it, how does it taste, and then basically make a decision, because it might happen that you might get bored with the front end thing, and then you would want to do back end thing. So yeah, I would say is firstly try to do both of these things, and then later on decide whether in which segment you would want to go more, in which segment you would want to explore more. So yeah, do this. At least you should do this, and then decide what is good for you, and then move ahead with it. So Yes, Utkarsh asked, like, does web development play a role in IoT? So a lot, literally a lot of IoT is basically powered by web development. Uh, in specifically by the by the backend infrastructure. For example, we have a lot of devices connected in parallel. So how do you how do you make your server infrastructure so that it is optimized, and it can basically scale to millions and billions of devices fastly. It can scale up and scale down based on the requirements from those IoT resources. For example, just consider an example of Alexa or Google. What is the name of the Google part of Google counterpart, like Alexa counterpart of Google? I'm not getting the name of it. What sort of, it is sort of speaker? What do we call it? What do we call it? Do anyone know about it? Yeah, Google Nest. Yeah, definitely. Yes, yes. Yeah, Amazon Echo and Google Nest. So these are these are sort of IoT devices. We can call them as an IoT devices, basically that are sort of small assistant come speakers who can help you do a lot of tasks, who can help you in doing a lot of things. So how how web development is empowering them. So for example, when we ask something from Alexa or Google Nest, we tell them hello, hello Google, or hey Alexa, and what is the weather today. So when we when we ask those things, so the first thing, well, there are certain things that are happening in the background. For example, when we say hello Google, so the first thing is they're constantly listening to us, no matter does not matter if you're saying something or you're not saying, they're constantly listening to 24/7. And whenever whenever they encounter the pattern, that we are saying hello Google, hi Google, or hi Alexa, they understand, okay, they're speaking to us now. So they become attentive, and when we say them, what is the weather today, so then there can be two things. The first thing can be that the recognition part that we're talking about, whether when we say what is the weather today. So if the recognition part is happening in that device itself, it understands, okay, the person is asking about the weather, so basically it can ask for the weather only. This is one way of implementing it. The other way will be to basically send a sound clip to the server, that this is the sound clip that I have got, to the backend server, and let backend server analyze it, give us results based on it. So these are two approaches that might be there to implement it. But just to just to make it more faster, what an ideal approach will be to understanding those patterns in locally in the device, and basically asking for specific things from the backend server. So when we say what is the weather today, it basically asks the server, and the backend server then recognizes, okay, that they're asking about what is the weather today. Then it fetches it from some another another service provider who tells us about the weather. So probably the devices will give the location to the backend server, and then based on the location, the backend server will find the weather, and they will give them a specific response, and then basically it will be consumed again by those Amazon Nest, or Alexa bots, or yeah, like that, Amazon Echo. So in this case, you can say that that your Google Nest or Amazon Echo is is sort of acting like a front end, and you have a back end. So these IoT devices are our way to interact with the backend servers, and basically these things will then coordinate with the backend and give us the desired output. So yeah, IoT devices, web development also plays a lot of role in IoT, because at the time also you have to make a server to correspond to the request of the IoT devices, to basically register the data, to basically perform all sort of pattern recognition, or doing some analysis, performing some mathematical computation, and all of these things will be there. So yeah, definitely in IoT as well, we web development plays a lot of role, because these things are not sort of standalone devices. They are sort of a mesh of devices connected with a network. So they need a backend server to interact with so that they can work perfectly with them. So yes, Utkarsh, I hope I answered your question. uh, Anyone else? Did you get it what I wanted to say? Or if you have any other queries, or if you want to discuss further about it, then you can just go ahead with it. Okay, so Utkarsh is okay with it. Okay. Anyone else, if you have any question? So as of now, we had talked about web development, different aspects of web development for non-CS students, non-CS people, getting how to get started with web development, roadmap for web development as a career option. So these are 5 topics that I was hoping to discuss today, and we have discussed about it as of now. If you have any further questions, you can discuss we can discuss it we can discuss it now, how to get started. If you have any silly questions, we can discuss about. And after that, I will try to answer some of the questions that people asked initially. The Saurabh, Yogesh, and Chitish, I will try to answer those questions. So if you have any questions, just shoot it out. Otherwise, I'm trying to answer those questions first. So Kshitij asked, please also tell us about some VS Code extensions to make development seamless. Okay, okay. We'll show you. We'll show you one. Okay. So we'll show in one in a while. So whenever you're coding, I will try to share such resources with you. But usually what you for example, for HTML, CSS, and the other thing that we talked about, just get started with any of the very good text editor. My preferred will be VS Code Studio. Okay, sorry, I wrote it again and again. It is VS Code. I'm not talking about Visual Studio. I'm talking about Visual Studio Code. These are two different things. Visual Studio is sort of ID sort of thing, and Visual Studio Code is sort of text editor. With, and it is very lightweight. It is lightweight, and it is for all the platforms. So yeah, just don't change those two things. VS Code is one very good very good text editor that you can get started with. Apart from it, Sublime Text is one that is also very good. You can also use Atom if you want. We have Bracket as well for it. So but yeah, the preferred one that I would say will be the VS Code, because it is sort of the most advanced than all the other three that I mentioned here. So just download the VS Code from there and you can get started with it. So I will let me share my screen how it looks. And I think it is probably, it is not a good time to tell about this code action. So I will anyway tell about it. But if you if you are not able to relate with it, then just leave it as it is. It is if I'm talking to other people who don't know about VS Code or something like that. So yeah, so yes, it was about the VS Code. So just download one text editor from the web. VS Code will be my preferred suggestion. You can download it and get started with it. Just whatever you're doing, just code it in the Visual Studio Code. That will be good to go. The next question is I am sharing the extensions in a while, Chitish. So okay, okay, if you have it, let's do it now as well. Now only. Okay. So I have okay. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
So this is how typical Visual Studio Code. This is how Visual Studio Code looks actually. Okay, so we have several options over here, where we can basically open a file and open a folder. So my session will be just make a workplace and like so though I'm using Linux, it is the same UI for the Mac and for the Windows as well, so no need to worry about it. Okay, so yeah, this is how, you can see all the files that are there, and you can just open it, and it will be, yeah, it will be good. You can just any of it, and any file, and just check it. So yeah, this is how the VS Studio Code actually looks. And the extension that you were talking about is something that, that helps you ease your work. For example, this thing that you're seeing here, this 62% thing, so it is some sort of extension that I have put here. The PDF that you're seeing, it is some sort of extension that I have here to ease my work. For example, you can see that this code is sort of very organized. It looks very organized. So it basically helps us to basically eases us to understand the code very easily, because if I write code without beautifying it, you probably half of your time will be wasted in just trying to understand how it actually works. So PTI is such extension that basically helps us to do it. So you, no matter how you code it, it will just format it in a beautiful way, so that you can just check it as you want. So that is there. Apart from that, I will share all the extensions that I have. So yeah, so battery indicator is one extension that I have. Basically, because I usually work on the full screen mode, so it helps me to have a glimpse of the battery here only. So it is a sort of helpful for me, that's why I do it. Better comments, I have installed this is basically whenever I'm working it, for example, I'm working in this code. Let's say I'm working in this code. Okay, so if I'm working on this code, what I will do is I'll I can, example, this is Python file, so I can just do it like this. And you can see that that this is highlighted this specific code based on my based on what I have written is. For example, I can put it here as a to do, and I can, if I say that, hey man, this is error, uh, so this was not working. So like this, basically whatever comment you are putting it there, this okay, so you guys are not able to see those things, I suppose. Okay, let me share it here. So are you okay, are you able to see one file that is open here?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's say if I say I write it as a to do, so you can see that the normal comment was different. For example, this is something, this is a different comment. Okay, if I want to have a sort of to do thing, I'm working on it, but I just realized that I cannot do a specific thing because of a specific reason, so I just want to put a comment over there, so I can just do it like that. So based on this sort of comments, this extension actually this extension actually helps to helps the user that is basically seeing that specific thing. For example, if you write the comment in this way, you can see how it is, how easy it is to understand the changes and all those things. So it is one of the plugins that I use. I will share the whole list of those whole list of this plugin, so that you can check it later. This bracket pair colonizer is basically because you can that if you're working with if you're working specifically JavaScript, we have a lot of this sort of brackets opening and closing. So this basically this extension help me to just keep a track of at which place I am. For example, if I'm hovering over this if this closing bracket, this is just highlighting this one as well, notifying that this is the opening code for it. Likewise here, likewise here, I'm putting it, it is just it is just highlighting this as well. So that is why I have this specific plugin over here. This Cobalt theme engine is something that I that I like, the UI that you are seeing it, the color scheme, the font is with this specific theme only. So I have set a custom font which helps me to read code more easily. That's why you are able to see my screen likewise. If you will install it by if you will have a default Visual Studio Code, probably you might not be able to see, like your screen probably will not be exactly same as how it is mine. But yeah, you can just do it with these things only. And just click on this set color theme, and you can just choose one. Docker is one plugin that helps me to write Docker files whenever I'm working with the backend and all sort of thing. That is where it helps me. So editor config is for example, whenever so for example, when you are working in a team, so what usually happens is everyone tries to write in their own separate ways. For example, if I'm writing a if else, there might be a set of people who do it like this, right? No, and there is a specific set of users who do it like that. So these are something that you can that I can basically I can specify in this editor in a editor config file. So we have a dot editor config file sort of understanding between all the editors, and there we specify for example whenever I want to I want to see in the next line, there are two options, either I can have a next, either I can have a distance of two spaces, or I can if lot of people also uses an indentation of four spaces, and at the same time some prefer spaces and some prefer tabs. So we should not have that conflicts, because if you're working with in a team, and if you were working on Git, then those small changes will also reflect as a commit, but it is not good. At the same time, if you're working together, there should be a specific standard that everyone should follow. So you can see that I have specified that for all .js files, the cache head should be UTF-8, indent size should be spaces, and indent size should be 2. So in order to enforce this my editor to follow that the rules that I have decided here, we had to install this as a specific plugin, so that it basically helps me. Git Lens is one of the very useful tool. For example, another, and again when we are working on a team, you can see that these comments. So these are some changes that I had made earlier. So you can see that this is saying that this changes what was done by KD Pizza 5 months ago. So, and this is also the commit that I had put when I had made these changes. At the same time, I can also click on this to just get into that specific commit, and I have some, if I have some question, I can directly ask this person. So if you're using it, if you are working on a team, this is a very good plugin that I would suggest to everyone. Indent Rainbow is again, it is another sort of indentation that basically beautifies things. For example, we have this indentation that you're seeing, whenever I'm in this, it is basically highlighting this line. If I get into this, it is highlighting this line. So this indent rainbow sort of thing is basically done by this thing. Jupyter is basically a plugin with you can use a Jupyter file. You can make it like that. You just make a new whenever you try to make a new file, it gives an option to have a Jupyter notebook here in this VS Code only. You don't need to install another Jupyter notebook. You don't need to install it separately. You can just run your Jupyter notebook in this VS Code only. Kubernetes is also some similar framework that is helpful when I'm working with Kubernetes. This live server thing is actually very handy. For example, when we are working with a normal HTML CSS file, so you can just write your HTML file, and instead of going through the file browser and opening that file in Chrome browser and then looking for your changes, you can just install this plugin and click on this go live button. It will basically start a separate server, which will be which you and it will also open the specific Chrome tab for it. So you can just go that changes in the go, and if you save your changes, it will again restart and refresh the page, so you don't need to do anything. Prettier is one thing that basically helps me this helps me indent and beautify this whole specific file. For example, let's see, if I do just thing, and if I press control S, it will basically automatically beautify this code. So this is basically done by this specific extension. Python extension is again to get suggestions for Python and all these things. So Yeah, these are some of the framework. This is some of the extension that I have for my VS Code. It helps me boost my productivity. So I will share the list of it if you want. So yeah, Yogesh had asked like, a good combination of frameworks for front end and back end. So uh, okay, yeah. So Yogesh has asked us about it. So about this, what I feel is that it basically depends on like, what is your requirement. For example, like, there are very good frameworks in backend specifically, and there are very good frameworks in the front end, be it Angular, be it React, be it Vue. They are very versatile, they are very advanced, they are very mature products. Like, it is not like that if you don't if you start with React, you won't be able to make a YouTube sort of application which is made in Angular. At the same time, if you're going with Angular, you cannot make advanced applications like Facebook, which is made in React. So it is not like that. Both are mature frameworks with a lot of very good community backing only. So you don't need to worry about it. It is just matter of preference. One thing that I always say is about how good you are with that specific tech. For example, if I have given a chance to choose between React, Angular, and Vue, I will choose React. The only reason, because I'm more familiar with React, and I have more confidence with React than Angular. Though I can work with Angular if it is given, but again, I have more flexibility and more experience with Reacting, so I would want to go with that. So that is one thing that you should ask yourself. And this again, the same thing for the backend. For example, if you're going with the backend, then there are a lot of additional things that come into picture. For example, what sort of architecture that you want to follow. For example, you might have decided that you want to go with the monolithic architecture for the backend, and also you might have thought about the microservices based architecture for the backend. So if you're going to decide, if you're going to go with the monolithic architecture, then probably you go with some monolithic frameworks like Django or Laravel or Symfony. These are some of the sort of monolithic frameworks that are sort of bulky, but they are also most robust. And again, the language also plays a very important role. So yeah, that it will be for that only. As well as if you want to go with microservice architecture, then Flask or Fast API or Express is something that you might want to consider. But again, as I said, it totally depends on your proficiency with those specific technologies. At the same time, if you're working on a team, then again, what team is more proficient with it, and with which language you would want to move forward. Because I feel every language is mature enough nowadays. If you go with Node, it is where it is versatile, it is robust, it is stable thing. You can build your whole tech stack around it. If you're comfortable with PHP, you can also make some of the very good and robust and scalable systems with PHP. So yeah, it is quite possible. Just that choose your preference, choose the preference of your team, what you are most proficient and comfortable with. And again, check for the community support as well. For example, the frameworks that I mentioned, the frameworks and technologies, those are mature enough and they have a lot of community backing. So it is sort of community project. It is not gonna it will not be like that, that someday people stop contributing to that project, and just it will be just hanging there, and it won't be of useful like that. So since it is a community project, every people are continuously fixing bugs, continuously improving it, continuously adding supports enhancements to that specific framework. So yeah, your preference, what suits for your requirement is one thing that I would want to suggest you. Apart from it, I feel every tools and technologies nowadays are mature enough in terms of scalability and product readiness and all sort of things. Saurabh had asked about your designs and from where to get good templates. So, Saurabh, you can get good templates. There first of all, there are a lot of libraries. For example, even for example, let's dig it out. For example, if you go with Bootstrap, I'm sure you can. Okay, sorry, Bootstrap. This is the official website of Bootstrap. So you can just see these examples in all of the in all sort of this like CSS libraries. You can, if you're going with Bootstrap, you can definitely just check this, the snippets that they have provided, sort of headers. So you can see that these are some of the examples that you can just, these are sort of ready to use. You can just copy the code and get started. You have sort of this heroic example, you can just get started with it. You have sort of this. And so the framework that you're going with, that that you're choosing, might provide some of the basic examples, some of the standard and good ones, so that you can get started with it quickly. And nowadays every framework does it. So this is one of the basic ways that you can do it. And you can download these examples, you can download this source code. Source codes these are like completely free. At the same time, they also have some premium themes. For example, if you want to if you want to buy something for your own company, then you can see that these are some of the premium things that they have developed, that you have to buy it. For example, let's see this premium that is available for $Indian. So you can see that they have this specific sort of templates which have a lot of elements and ready to go pages. You can just copy and just get, for example, just see at this error page how beautiful it is. So yeah, this is how they have some premium section as well as some open source section. You can do all this thing. For example, if I again materialize, CSS is another one of the good framework, another good CSS framework that I had used. Again, in this as well, you can see that they have a specific section, showcase. So no, so sorry, this is not somebody asking, looking for, in themes. In themes, these are some of the premium themes that I have, that they have. If you want to develop a admin panel, they have a ready-made ready-made admin panel. You just have to pick it up and just do whatever you want to do. And at the same time, I think they also provide some like templates. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. For example, they have specific starter templates to get you started with it. This is some parallax example, and like that. So they have usually in all the frameworks that you go. For example, Bulma is one of the frameworks that is very lightweight, and it is very very good. So again, I can just Bulma extension. Not. They might have something. I'm not sure. I have not checked this website in a long time, but I'm sure they might will be having the same thing. And apart from it, you can anytime you can Google it. For example, free HTML bootstrap templates for, let's say, social media. And you will just get a free template that is good to use. Just check the license one whenever you are trying to implement it. Otherwise you can see they have a very good they have a very good this is one of the template that they have. So likewise you can find it. Even if you want to go some premium, then theme forest is one of the best place to look for. They have premium templates, and they have a wide variety. For example, if I want a social media template and bootstrap, let's say you want to check it for the bootstrap. So yeah, you can just you can see that it is only available for $20. So likewise you can just check the live preview. And yeah, these are some beautiful things that you can get and get started with. So yeah, for example, this newsfeed page. So yeah, likewise, you can you can either go with free ones that are open source and available in a lot of forums. Just check the license, what is the license that they're offering, so that just so that later on you don't get any in some sort of conflicts whether you can use it or not. Just check the license one. If it is MIT, you're more than go to go. If there's something else, just check it and uh just decide whether you want to go with that license or not. So yeah, these are some of the places where you can find and find this UI designs too, and both premium and both premium, freemium, and free. uh, yeah, Anyone was saying something. Like, did I answer your question, Saurabh? Okay, Saurabh is not there in call. Okay, anyway. So, like, do you have any more questions, or like, any other thing that you want to discuss?
So today's session was so good.
Okay,
But
thank you.
in the next session,
Yeah,
I
hands-on.
I want to do the code in front of us,
Yes,
like
yes, 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 yes.
in
Definitely,
short programs
definitely,
with the
definitely.
CSS and all.
Yeah. So definitely, in the next session, like, I'm hoping to do a, like, from now onwards, like, probably it will be like, sort of pair programming sort of session, like, where I'll be sharing my screen, and like, we'll try to build something, be it like, some HTML designs, build some, like, doing like, tweaking with some of the frameworks, or like, using some designs and using some JavaScript libraries to do something. So those things are something that I'm hoping to do from the next sessions. But for now, but for now, let's say, like, this is what I was talking about, W3 schools. So, like, again, in the home page only, they have a, like, beautiful guideline for HTML. So, like, just go through this, all these sections. These are, like, these are
Yeah,
more
then
than
I followed your resume. I already prepared it.
great. So, like, if those who have not done it, just go through it, and like, do this, and like, in this whole week, whenever you get time, try to build your resume in HTML, so that, like, whatever you're reading here, like, whatever text that you're going through here, you can at least implement some of them, so that it will be like, you can relate to it, you can connect with it, what we are talking about. So that is one thing that I would want you guys to do in your free time, like, in this whole course of in this whole upcoming week, like, just go through this HTML. If you're done with HTML, you can get started with CSS as well. So firstly, try to build your resume in HTML, like plain HTML. If you have done CSS, then do with some CSS as well. I'm not talking about using some, like, some front end frameworks like Bootstrap, or Material as CSS, or like, some other things. I'm just talking about pure HTML and CSS. We're not talking about any of the extensions as of now. Okay. So yeah, this is something that I would want, that I would say, like, this is something that we can do in this week. And then again, from the next session, I'm hoping to, like, do something that you guys would want, that you guys would suggest, like, in majority, and like, we'll want to have a, like, sort of hands-on, and yeah, let's try to build something, and at the same time, like, learn those things as well.
Sir, are there any specific hardware requirements to do this thing?
No, so specifically, you just need a browser and a, like, text editor. That's the only thing that you need. That's the only thing that you need.
No, I'm asking about the processor. Should be i5 or
No, no,
i3.
no. Like, for this HTML CSS, it does not matter. Like, for local development, usually if you have a, like, sort of even if you have, like, at least in, like, i5 7 generation, and like, if you have enough RAM to run your operating system. For example, if your operating system is running smoothly, then you don't need anything else, and you don't need anything extra, anything specific, anything more fancy to do those things. Like, that will suffice. If your operating system is running smoothly, then you just need to download this Visual Studio Code, and, like, or you might have a browser already, so that are good to go. You don't need anything else. For backend, sometimes, like, sometimes they, like, sometimes the processes, the frameworks take a lot of, like, talk a lot of resources. But it is sort of some, it is one thing that can be, that is adjustable, because, like, whenever we're doing web development, we don't have a specific requirements as data science. Like, we don't need to have a GPU and all sort of things. It is good to go. If you have a decent system that does not hang and, like, works smoothly, you're good to go.
Okay.
uh, Apart from it, anything else, guys? Any extra question that you might have? Like, feel free to, like, feel free to share, because we are here to discuss
The
that
main
only.
thing is I have done HTML, but it's
Uh-huh.
getting difficult to remember the tags and all.
Okay, yeah,
That
so
we learned
okay,
with
okay, okay.
practicing.
So Gagan, remember one thing, like, you don't need to remember all these tags and all. Okay, like, you don't need to remember this text. because that is something that you can like you can Google it anytime. What you have to understand is how this HTML works. For example, you understand, right, that we have a sort of like opening tags and closing tags. Some tags are there which does not require closing. For example, image br, like that, right? You understand, like that we have tags, and between them we have another set of tags with which we try to do. Like, so this is something that you have to understand. You don't have to remember this all these tags that is mentioned over here. You don't have to go with that. Just like understand how this works. It is good to go. Like, you don't need to remember like what is in what iframe does. The more you work, because the development is such thing that is totally practical. Like, even if you try to remember it, you will probably reach to like sort of a sort of an ending line, like beyond which you'll find impossible to remember it. So the only thing that will help you grow in this at that time will be to like understand how this works. And yeah, just w- because every time you have the internet, right, you can just Google things and you can use those tags. So you don't need to remember the tags. You don't need to remember arrow text, right? Just understand the
Sir,
basics.
can you,
Huh?
sir, are there any website that give us tasks for practice? Because I practice from the web page like like
Okay, okay, okay.
are there
Okay,
any
so
website to get that?
for HTML specifically, I don't remember any. For advanced, like for advanced libraries like React, Angular, you might find one. But for HTML, CSS, I'm not sure if there are any. But again, like what I can say is like just try to copy something. For example, like this website looks good, right? Try to just implement it. Just open Facebook and try to copy the UI of Facebook. Open Twitter and try to copy the UI of Twitter. Like just open the website of Amazon, Flipkart, and try to replicate that. I think that's the only thing that you can do as a sort of like experiments, and as a practical and exercise, or like get more hands on with it. That's what I would suggest. Like decide something and try to build something on your own. Okay, anything else, guys, apart from it?
No, sir, that's only
Okay,
practical program. The next
okay,
session.
okay, yeah, sure. From next session, definitely I would want to do practical hands-on, yeah, with live sharing. Yeah, anything else, anyone, like if you have, if any of us have like a specific suggestion or feedback, or like any question, or any request that we can do this from the next session, like as Gagan said, hands-on session, like it will be very helpful for us. Anything? uh okay. No one is saying something, so I assume it is good. And yeah, okay guys, and like okay, then I will upload these videos on like YouTube, and we'll share the link so that you can go through it if you want to. And yeah, this is all from my side. Thank you for the time, and we'll try
Thank
to do
you.
hands-on from the next session. Also, Gagan, please suggest some topics that from on which like we can do hands-on with, like decide and like
Yes, sir, I'm having some tasks which I'm having some more doubts, so I will tell you on the topic.
definitely that will be very helpful. Yeah, we'll try to do that. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. And also like okay, let's do one poll. Like I want to know like which works better. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Just hang on for a minute. Okay, I will have to take it in. So yeah, just what will be your preference, Saturday or Sunday for these sessions? Just type Saturday or Sunday in the chat. Saturday or Sunday. Which
For
works?
the program preference,
No, yeah. For the sessions, will Saturday will be good or Sundays are better?
Sundays are better.
Okay, Sunday for me, Sunday. Kunal only Saturday for Kunal. Okay, for majority Sunday seems good. Okay. Then okay. we'll post further on Substacks, and also keep checking your emails. Like, usually you might get an email like, from Substack. So asking about the like, any updation or any suggestions from you guys. So just keep checking it. And yeah, thank you for the time, guys. It was a wonderful time, and yeah, I'm hoping to like, make it more productive for the next time. Okay, guys, then see you. If you have anything, you
Yes, sir.
can
If you can
definitely.
take that to more
Sure,
productive,
sure,
very
sure,
easy.
sure, Gagan, sure. I
But
will.
we are good with getting some practical.
Okay, sure, Gagan, we'll try to do it. And if you have any question, you can like, ask me personally via LinkedIn or any such platform. You can find me. I'm a public, usually available in all these platforms. So if you are shy and like, if you want to have some personal things, you can definitely ask over there as well. So okay, guys, then I'm concluding this call, and we'll share the link for the YouTube as well. Yeah, have a great day.